offered her time to help me understand, just to answer my questions. I'm really grateful to her for the time she gave up to share as much knowledge with me as she could. And she went on to then invite me to workshops that she ran, development workshops, so that I was able to learn a bit more about psychic mediumship and see if I had any abilities of my own.
Most excellent. Here in Wisconsin, they have these metaphysical, they're psychic / holistic fairs, health and wellness fairs, where you'll see homeopathic vendors right next to vendors like psychics and mediums, and because it's all healing, in a sense.
Wow, yeah.
And so
I don't think we have.
Yeah, it sounds like your village is very conservative, and when as far as things happening for a reason, now that your book is doing so well, there may be people in your own village that are aware of the book and may read it, and you may open up their minds a little bit.
Yes, I definitely started to get braver at telling people, because for many years we've kept quiet about this. We weren't able to share it, and in doing it, then didn't get the support that we perhaps could have got either. But at the time, it felt like the right thing to do, and so we didn't share it with anyone. And now I've grown so much, sort of spiritually and in every way, really, that now I'm happier with who I am and more confident in my abilities. And it's okay to mention it to people. I still pick and choose, I think, who I tell. I'm still mindful of who I mention. I sort of feel my way. And if it feels like someone I can share this with that I think would benefit or would be interested, then I do now. I don't keep it all inside anymore. But certainly for many years, we did. And, back in the previous village we lived in, when I was told about these abilities by the psychic medium, I did try and confide in some friends. Some of them politely sort of listened and, listened a bit more, but they didn't really comment. They didn't really have anything to say, or they didn't have any questions to ask, which I guess is what I would do naturally, is ask people questions because I'd be interested, but they didn't. And it was, they couldn't really shut it down quick enough. They weren't comfortable talking about it. Or they would challenge me on it and say, oh, come on, it's just their imagination. It's just the age they're at. And I wasn't getting anywhere with it. And a few other friends or acquaintances, certainly in the village, when I mentioned it, would say, oh, it's a load of nonsense. I don't believe in any of that. And I just felt foolish. I just didn't feel I could share it. And so after a few of those rebuffs, I just stopped sharing. It was easier not to. I just couldn't find anyone like-minded in the local area that I could talk to about it. At the time, I wasn't on social media either. I hadn't been a big fan of social media, so had avoided it. And in doing so, again, missed opportunities to contact others who are going through something similar. So we kind of did it on our own, really. And I guess there's pros and cons to that. You can learn for yourself and experience things firsthand without being told. But it does mean you don't necessarily have a huge amount of support from people. And I always think sharing ideas and experiences, you learn so much from each other. And you get comfort from each other. But, just hearing other people's experiences is so interesting and so valuable.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And I can understand where you're coming from. I mean, when it comes to metaphysics and anybody coming out with their abilities, people are divided. You have people that believe in it and welcome it. You have people that are afraid to, because maybe their spiritual upbringing told them that it was evil. Yeah. Or people choose not to embrace it because that would shift their paradigm to the point where they would have to step out of their comfort zone.
Right, because they would have to accept things that science cannot validate at this point. Which is why...
Yes, I also think...
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I also think there's a lot of fear involved, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You had mentioned your mother.
Yes.
How is the rest of your extended family? What do they think about the psychic abilities in general, and do they support your efforts in this?
I think everyone's supportive. I think some are more quiet than others. I think some people, they, so my parents are both very understanding. They're very interested in it. They're sort of, yeah, I think they just watch from afar, really. They want to know more about it, but, they've read the book and I think they're amazed. But yeah, they don't understand it entirely. But they are interested, obviously. My mum certainly is interested, having visited psychic mediums in the past. My dad really enjoyed the book when he read it. I think he's just amazed by the whole thing. My brother, I think, is probably more skeptical. He's polite, he's supportive, but he certainly sits on the fence. I think he's just very unsure about it all. He's just not quite sure how or what to think. I think my husband's largely the same. I think he's come around all these years now that we've been dealing with this. He's definitely come around. I think he's got one foot in the camp, but he's still sort of there. He's the balanced, grounding one that, watches and wonders, but, still would love a bit more evidence, I think, for him. Which, of course, you could do that for years. For years and years, you could say, yes, but it could be this, and yes, but it could be that. And I have this with the homeopathy. Certainly in the UK, homeopathy is discredited all the time by the medical profession.
Oh, of course. They demonize it. They do it here too.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
It's really hard work. And, when I first qualified, I spent ages trying to convince people, no, it's brilliant, it's amazing, this is what it can do, and there's evidence. And it doesn't matter how many times you say that, there's always someone with a bigger answer, or, I think you have to be wired a certain way to do those conversations as well. And I'm not very good at confrontation, or I'm not very good with providing enough evidence to back things up. I just don't have an interest in doing that. I kind of think, either believe or don't. It doesn't matter if you don't believe it. It's okay.
Well, let's talk about faith. So the psychic comes in.
Yeah.
Oh, is it break time?
Yeah. Okay.
Ah!
It's time for our first commercial break. You are listening to Paraversal Universe. We will be right back with our guests for the next segment.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate Magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Son of a...
Hey, son.
Mother...
Son? What are you doing?
Hey, Mom. I'm getting ready to listen to Periscope Uncensored.
By expanding your vocabulary.
Well, it is uncensored.
Son, the uncensored part of Periscope Uncensored is Jax and I getting down to brass tacks with all aspects of the paranormal. There's no fluff on our show.
So, no off-color commentary?
I didn't say that.
Awesome! What?
Son?
I just hit my head.
Oh boy. I'll go get you an ice pack. Catch Periscope Uncensored Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back from our first commercial break, everyone. This is Paraversal Universe, produced by WBHM Digital Broadcasting. Also heard on WCET-FM, Amelia Pisano Productions, and the Rift Radio Network. We're your hosts, Kevin and Jennifer Malek. And we'd like to take a minute to thank everyone who makes Paraversal Universe possible, including graphic art director Lawrence D. Meza, music theme by Matt Stenz, announcer Frank Lee, producer Kat Hobson, network owner at WBHM, Howie Odell and the Rift family, Michael Vera at WCET-FM, and to Dr. Chuck Kennedy and Amelia Pisano. Thank you all for carrying our content and working together on our behalf and the behalf of our audience everywhere. And of course, a huge thank you to God in heaven, whose strength beyond strength is stronger than all, for granting us this wonderful show and opportunity to be here with you all.
Amen. And thank God it's Friday.
And appreciation to all those various platforms we are on, including iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Twitch, YouTube, Dailymotion, TalkStream Live, TuneIn, Blog Talk, Podbean, Google Play, Mixcloud, and Paranormal Livestream app, which is streamed and restreamed from various other outlets all over the world via the internet. This segment of Paraversal Universe is brought to you by the UFO Wisconsin Research Team, Wisconsin's alternative to MUFON. Okay, back to the show. This is Paraversal Universe, and we are talking to Claire Waters, author of Raising Faith. Are you still with us, Claire?
I'm with you, Kevin. Thank you.
Yes. So when we left, I was just about to ask you, or you had brought up evidence. And so you have a medium come in your house, and she lets you know that your kids have abilities. Now, right. I would imagine, because there's a whole book written about it, that things started to happen. Can you tell us some of the things that Faith would relay to you, which may verify or vindicate essentially this kind of prophecy that was given to you, in a sense? I mean, not prophecy, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, in the early days, when I first asked her about it, she wasn't even interested in it. She couldn't understand why I was so interested, and so she started telling me, eventually, it's a bit of prodding from me as to, well, who is it that's in the room with us? And she would tell me various people that were in the room, some of whom I didn't know, some of whom were my granddad, deceased loved ones of mine that had passed. And as time went on, really, I mean, the validation really only came when I started to get some abilities of my own, and I learned who it was visiting me, and then I could check with her and ask, who is it that's visiting? And she was able to give me the exact person that I knew it was. So, I tried that quite often once I had my own abilities, just to make sure, and every time she was bang on. She was absolutely right. She would talk about things that just weren't appropriate at her age. When I first was told about her abilities, she was only 4 years old. And it took me a couple of weeks after that I'd been told by this psychic medium. It took me a few weeks to really pluck up the courage to approach her and ask about it, because, to be honest, I was still quite frightened of the idea. I'm not quite sure what I wanted her to say, but, I think I'd have been disappointed if she said no, she couldn't do it. And I think in her telling me she could do it, I was equally terrified. So it was a win-win, really. But I went in her room and I just said to her, I've been told that, you can see people around the room. And she just nodded, carried on playing with what she was playing with on the floor. And I said, are there people in the room now? Yes. she says, very uninterested, very, why are you asking me this? I'm happy playing with my toys. And to me, obviously, as I said before, this is really